You think this is starting to wear you out, right?
It is. It
Okay,
is.
now tell me why you would spend, what's your rationale for spending an hour and a half, or I'm sure you would dispute that, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever, yelling and screaming about the cheese. Now, you know, Jill says her trigger was she was in the war. Okay, were you like attacked by some cheese once and you want it put away safe? And what's the story about the cheese?
No, I think it's just the fact that I have to continually repeat myself, because that's not the first time. It wasn't so much the cheese, it's the fact that things get left out and they get ruined, and it seems like he could care less, and that's what bothers me.
In retrospect, does it seem to you that that was a disproportionate reaction to the cheese?
Okay, yes, maybe at that particular moment about cheese.
Oh,
but
I
guess
others.
to me it's like there's an issue that's larger than that. And you know, since me and him, our communication isn't always great, that's the only way that I seem to be able to vent myself, because I feel frustrated sometimes. I feel angry.
Okay, so it's not really about the cheese. It's not really about it's about the fact that you don't feel like you're heard.
Correct. That's exactly what it is.
You know, when I was talking to Cy a minute ago, I said a lot of drama queens feel like you're not hearing me, so I've got to dial it up so I can be heard. I'm either not interesting enough or not important enough or not acknowledged enough, so I got to dial it up so I can be heard.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with this, yes.
So you think that's the truth?
Yes, I can agree with that.
All right. Do you think that you give her attention and that you do regard her feelings and her thoughts and her presence in the marriage?
I think I could do better, but I give her attention, and that I do listen to her when, like, it's the same thing that we heard earlier. It's like when you're hearing it all the time, when do you know what's important and what's not?
Most choices that people make are made based on immediate results. You know, everybody says, well, I wonder why people choose to smoke. Well, because the immediate result is pleasurable. Long-term result can be fatal, but the immediate result. So most choices are driven by immediate results. Do you get an immediate payoff for these yelling and screaming jags that you go on? Whether you think they're justified or not, do you get an immediate payoff?
Maybe some kind of release, or it makes me feel heard in some way. I mean, yes and no. I mean, because obviously I'm not heard because he puts up more defenses, but in that immediate moment, I feel like I'm releasing something.
It relieves the tension.
Right.
So it's kind of like they release a pressure valve and you get it all out because you're just like this.
Right.
Do you think that that could control you to the point that you create unrealistic expectancies so you've got something to yell about?
See, I don't necessarily think so, but...
Chris is thinking, this guy's not as dumb as he looks.
See, I don't think so, but you know, again, he does, but I don't so much think that I look for things to, you know, yell about. I just want to be heard when I'm speaking, and when...
See, one of the problems that I see people get into like this, when they use their anger to release the stress and pressure, I often see people do that because they don't feel heard, they don't feel validated, and so they're constantly having to test. I'm going to yell and scream until you pay me attention and reassure me that you love me and care about me and acknowledge me. And so you're giving him a test every single time you do it. And you're rewarded when he passes the test by finally saying, okay, I'm sorry, I love you, I'm here. What's going to happen when you hit the day that he finally fails the test? When he finally says, you know what? You must be right. You finally convinced me I must not care about you.
I'd be quite upset. I mean, that's not, you know, what I'm looking for.
But do you understand that that's the only possible outcome of what you're doing? Because this guy's telling you, this is wearing me out. True?
True.
You're getting really weary of this.
Yes. You have a Bible?
You'd swear to it.
Do you have a story or a question for me? Click the link in the description and tell me what in the world is going on.